thank everybody for joining us this morning. My name is Todd Pershing, and I am with Managed Services Partners. And just welcome to our cybersecurity webinar. Before we get right into it, just to let you know, Managed Services Partners is a fully staffed IT service provider located in Franklin, Indiana, serving all of Indiana. We even have clients outside of the state. We offer complete IT services, cybersecurity, as well as the most, what I believe is the most competitive business telephone service, quality service on the market. We also have over 75 carriers that we are partners with, so we can provide internet service pretty much anywhere in North and South America. In the last year, we've devoted much of our time in making sure that our clients' data and emails are as secure as technology will allow us. We have onboarded many new clients in the last year, and many of them have come to us helping to fix an issue after a cyber event or as a cyber event has started. In one incident, a small client with maybe 5 employees, they called us in the middle of the afternoon and they said, we don't have control of our emails. So we quickly got on site, got them back up and running. But during that brief period of time, since they had control of the emails, the bad actors did, they were able to redirect $140,000 in revenue into a offshore account. So I guess my point is of this introduction is it's not a matter of if you're going to have an issue, it is a matter of when. It will happen, and we have seen a lot of activity, especially in the small to mid-sized clients, which most of you on this call are. So we a little over a year ago, we began to strengthen our portfolio. We began a strategic partnership with a company called Arctic Wolf. Arctic Wolf has the employees, the staff. They're worldwide, and I don't want to steal too much of Cole's thunder with Arctic Wolf, but yeah, we're looking forward to this. And Cole, I think at this time, I'm going to turn this over to you. Is that okay?
That is great with me. Thanks, Todd.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Well, welcome everybody. As Todd mentioned, my name is Cole. I'm with Arctic Wolf. Excited to be here today talking about the cybersecurity market in general, but then also a little bit on Arctic Wolf. Exciting partnership, actually, not just the Managed Services Partners partnership, but also with Myers Shank. If you see on the middle of the car, there's a logo there with Arctic Wolf. Very exciting. I know the Indy 500 was just this past weekend. Also, just Indiana alone, very exciting with the Pacers. Me as a basketball fan have been following that. So lots of excitement going on in Indiana all together. We'll get into a little bit more on Arctic Wolf in general, but you can see here on the screen, our mission is to end cyber risk. We do this by partnering with Managed Services Partners to help protect against all sorts of threats as they continually evolve. As Todd said, it's today, in today's day and age, it's not a matter of if it happens, it's more of a matter of when. And when it does happen, we want to make sure that we have the people in place, the processes in place to reduce any sort of impact as much as possible. So for an agenda, we'll talk through just the threat landscape overall throughout the cybersecurity market, ways that we can help reduce your risk as well as reduce the impact when something does happen, tips for how to safeguard your organization, some benefits for cyber insurance, what cyber insurance is, how you can get it, And then there's just, we'll pass it back over to Scott and team for the cybersecurity framework overview, as well as Windows 10 end of service. And then questions throughout, feel free to throw them in the chat. Otherwise, we can address those at the tail end of the webinar today. Now, in the market today, there's a major problem, as you can see here. Risk, it continues to exponentially rise, and this is shown by the fact that there is literally billions of dollars that have been spent on security tools and solutions, yet the losses from cybercrime are continuing to rise. We've hit some of the highest losses of all time, close to $17 billion in 2024, which to us, it just points out the fact that there's a clear effectiveness gap in the market today, stating that, point solutions or tools by themselves are not getting the job done anymore, which is why we have to take an operational approach to combat this risk that is rising. Now, where to start? It's important to understand where you're at today on your security journey. A lot of companies that we talk to, primarily in the small and medium business segment, they're at this stage where we would call it a defense in depth, where they've bought tools and technologies, and then they've layered services around that technology to man that. So that could be, managing your endpoints, managing your firewalls, things like that. That's where a lot of the market is today. When you think about where companies want to be, they're starting to take more and more advancement into broader detection and response capabilities. This is what customers are asking for when it pertains to managed detection and response, or addressing the question, how do we reduce the impact when an event does happen? Now, you can't truly monitor your entire environment without, or you can't protect your entire environment without monitoring everything in your environment, as opposed to just monitoring your endpoints, or just having a firewall in place. So we need to proactively engage in things to help reduce the likelihood of a security incident from happening, but then also reducing the impact when it does happen. This could be things like training your company to help build a culture of security awareness, spotting when threats are happening, and where everyone wants to be is in true alignment with some of the leading security frameworks, such as the NIST framework, the National Institute of Standards and Technologies. And a lot of this is, again, the gap that Arctic Wolf is helping solve is bringing customers, wherever you are at today in your security journey, whether it is a defense in depth, or if you just have perimeter solutions in place today, getting to a point where we're being proactive and we're being more offensive instead of playing defense against the bad actors today. Scott, is there anything that you would add, or any other comments here?
No, I'm going to reference back to these when I talk on my section too.
Perfect. Awesome. We will keep rolling then. So I'll quick start out with a brief definition of BEC. So it stands for business email compromise. And a business email compromise is a type of cybercrime that attackers are doing. It's where they try to impersonate an individual, otherwise a company, someone within your organization, through an email to trick employees into taking actions, to ultimately wire money or reveal any sensitive information, whatever they need to perform their risky tasks. It's interesting, the FBI actually put out not too long ago that BEC, or business email compromise, is one of the most financially damaging online crimes that we're seeing. Again, kind of stating back to a lot of the cybercrime losses, a lot of those are due to BEC events happening. You can see a little bit of a breakdown on how it's happening through industry. One thing that I would call out is whether your industry is on here or if your industry is not on here. It does not guarantee that you are going to experience one or that you are not going to experience an incident. This is more so just pulling stats on the industries that have experienced the most over time. But again, we want to make sure that when it does happen, that we have proper procedures in place to, one, identify it, but then secondly, respond to it to make sure that it's not a catastrophic event and that we're stopping it as quickly as possible. Now we'll walk through an example in the next slide of how a real live business email compromise played out with an Arctic Wolf customer. The bubbles on the screen, so we'll get into the Arctic Wolf platform a little bit later on, but the blue bubbles represent the Arctic Wolf platform. The orange bubbles represent some of the security staff, the humans on the Arctic Wolf team. And then the red bubbles are the threat actor. And in this scenario, you can see that time is of the essence. Time really matters. In the attack, the bad actor, they're going to use credentials that they gained from the dark web to log into an employee of this organization's Office 365 account. During the login process, the user was prompted through their multi-factor authentication to go through those additional steps. One thing that happened is the attacker was what we call MFA bombing or doing MFA fatigue, where they kept pushing MFA requests to that user. So it was sent multiple times before it was finally accepted. And this was seen by Arctic Wolf. So we logged both a successful login attempt to their Office 365 account, which was not any suspicious behavior. But then there was suspicious behavior when there was multiple multi-factor authentication requests that were happening. So we logged that as a suspicious behavior. So you can see at 1:16 p.m., kind of that top middle, after less than 20 minutes from the initial login, the attacker really started configuring forwarding rules in their email as well as delete rules. When they do this, the attackers, this helps them go undetected a little bit longer. So at that same time, we had the alerts in place, Arctic Wolf did, to identify those creation of those forwarding and deleting rules, which again, as coming off as suspicious, those triggered an investigation by our SOC, our Security Operations Center, to start looking into kind of that suspicious behavior. A couple minutes after the SOC was aware of that activity, the full investigation was underway. And then at 1:22 p.m., less than 20 or 25 minutes after that response, the attacker leveraged OneDrive to upload malicious files to try and spread throughout their environment. Before they were able to do that, Arctic Wolf, our security team, they saw the malicious upload and then they immediately disabled that user's account. So then they weren't able to spread it throughout the rest of the organization. And then they began the full remediation steps after that. So you can see over time, within less than 30 minutes of when that attacker gained those credentials to when that user account was deactivated, our team was able to do a full-on investigation as well as disable it. So we reduced the impact from just having one user's inbox compromised to potentially a full-blown incident that could have been way worse. Now, steps to take to safeguard your organization. There's a lot of them. This is just showing a few things that we would recommend. One is to have an incident response plan. And then if you do have an incident response plan, that's great. If you don't, that's okay. I would consider looking into creating one. When you do, also you'd want to review it annually or biannually. So think of when the last time it's been updated. Have you had a fire drill type scenario where you've actually tested that plan out? Is your incident response plan stored off the network, or is it on the network, which you want to ask yourself as well, because if a bad actor takes down your network, they might also have access to your incident response plan. So recommend storing that off network. Having broad visibility is another really big key to safeguarding your organization. So is your entire environment being monitored? Is including, identity, your cloud, your network, everything within your environment? Are we looking at every door and window that a bad actor might try and get into, or are we just looking at one? You can't protect what you can't see. So again, emphasizing we want to have visibility across your entire environment. For identity controls, we want to make sure that we have strong identity controls to help reduce the likelihood of an attack happening in the first place, making it more difficult for a bad actor to get in. And then building a culture of security. If you see something that is suspicious, it makes you go, you should probably report it. Take a step back and ask a coworker or ask someone else, hey, did you get this? This looks a little bit suspicious. Or whoever that email is coming from, maybe call them and confirm and verify that they actually sent you or requested something that seemed a little bit off for you. Now we'll get into a little bit on who Arctic Wolf is specifically. So we are one of the largest security operations in the world today. We staff over 1,000 security experts. We're tried, tested, proven in the market as a market leader in security operations. And as a global organization, we scale up and down. Like I said, we work with a lot of small and medium businesses, a lot of mom and pop type organizations, as well as some of the largest organizations in the world. So it's not, not just for small organizations, or it's not just for the large organizations. We have a pretty even mix of every type of organization. And obviously, there's a lot of other information, but that's a little bit high level on Arctic Wolf. We'll get into how we work with organizations. So how we do this, it starts with our security operations cloud. And in order to do security operations well, you have to be ingesting data and telemetry from your entire attack surface. As you can see at the bottom of our platform, we are ingesting data from every tool and technology that you would have within your environment, which is also why kind of piecemealing point solutions or single solutions or just manning those technologies isn't enough today in the market. And to deliver outcomes faster to customers, we're ingesting massive amounts of data and telemetry from that entire attack surface into our platform, and then we leverage AI on top of that. And we deliver our outcomes through a very unique approach with our concierge security team, which is those security experts that's on staff 24/7 that is going to understand your environment. They're going to understand the potential risks in your environment. So then we can help you proactively take steps throughout your security journey to reduce any sort of likelihood of an incident happening or reducing, again, that impact from happening. Now, within the platform, we have key services that we deliver. I'll touch on just a couple of them. The first being managed detection and response. So you can't protect what you can't see, which is, again, all about having holistic coverage 24/7, full visibility into your environment. And we deliver that, again, through our concierge security team. The next one I'll touch on is managed security awareness, which is, again, about building a culture of awareness. So we deliver short 2 to 3 minute micro sessions or micro learning videos, as well as quizzes periodically. And then we also have sprinkled in every so often phishing simulation tests to try and identify and spot what social engineers are going to use on organizations to keep up to date on kind of tips and tricks as the security landscape evolves and as threats are becoming more and more sophisticated in how they're trying to gain access to organizations. Now, our mission is, as mentioned earlier, to end cyber risk, and we believe that cyber risk is a business risk ultimately. So it's a true business problem. It's become more and more top of mind and bigger conversation throughout organizations. And to combat it, you have to understand your organization's total risk within your environment. So we want to look at the same thing. We want to look at the total risk within your environment. And to do that, we use purpose-built technology that's owned and operated by Arctic Wolf to deliver those risk mitigation steps. But then we also have our extraordinary talent, as we mentioned, our security engineers that are staffed around the clock, that are eyes on glass. And then we layer on our alpha AI. So we leverage AI within our security operations center to deliver these outcomes faster. The combination of both that technology as well as the people is really one of the biggest differentiators to help us mitigate risk for our customers. Now, no partner can eliminate risk 100%. And this is kind of where that insurance conversation comes into play, and it's become a larger conversation for small and medium businesses that we've seen. Arctic Wolf can prove with our risk mitigation steps that we can report to cyber insurance carriers and cyber insurance brokers that you're doing the optimal level of risk mitigation to help get better rates or maintain coverage or to get increased coverage at the same rates. And essentially, this is how we're going to transfer any leftover risk within your environment. Now, jumping into the cyber insurance. So when it comes to cyber insurance, the more insurance approved controls, which we'll get into a little bit, will help better your risk profile, will help make your risk profile look better in the eyes of cyber insurance carriers. Now, as this improves, we're going to unlock other things like, again, lower premiums, potentially more robust cyber coverage, or just getting cyber coverage for the first time, which our goal is for organizations to, one, be able to obtain cyber insurance, and then two, be able to stay insured after that. So on the next slide, we'll walk into where Arctic Wolf helps map against some of the cyber insurance controls that you've probably seen on some questionnaires, some cyber insurance forms that are filled out. So how we map to it for Arctic Wolf, you'll see here the fully filled in bubbles are where Arctic Wolf fully solves for some of these controls. The half filled in bubbles, we augment them. We can help part of the way, but then that's where we would recommend, again, partnering with the managed services partners or partnering with having controls in place to help fully fill in this bubble. So some of the key ones, again, we've seen some cyber insurance forms that are specifically calling out managed detection and response, or MDR. Similarly, there are lots of other just broader detection and response. Security awareness training is some things that we're looking for. MFA is almost a must-have or a guarantee. So there's a few things here that you can see. I would recommend, again, talking with managed services partners on following this to, one, either confirm if you do or don't have cyber insurance if you're not aware, but then also how you can potentially how they can help make sure that you do have cyber insurance and that it's a good policy or a good rate for you and your organization.
Okay, awesome. Appreciate your time here, Cole, and you're able to hang on with us, right, for questions
Yep.
at the end. Okay.
I will hang on for questions. So thank you for having me. I know that was a lot of information, so looking forward to any questions or any follow-ups from this.
Okay.
And if anybody has any questions, you can interrupt at any time. We're okay with that. This is an open discussion.
All right. This is Scott. I said hi earlier, and I'm at Managed Services Partners. So I'm going to talk about the holistic cybersecurity view that you need to embrace for your business. And we've seen it in slides earlier, but the more you layer, the better. So I like to think about cybersecurity dress like it's winter and it's windy and it's very cold. So that's how we want to handle cyber that cybersecurity. Let's get some layers of protection in place. When working with a customer, we're going to recommend and try to follow the framework from the from NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology. Again, this is a framework and guidelines. It's not a black and white. These are the 5 steps, and if you do these 5 steps, all is good. But it is a very nice guideline and gets us thinking collaboratively on how to protect your business. And honestly, that ends up protecting your customers as well. So the first area of their they've got some silos or some categories. So the first one is identify what is critical to your business. And this is not going to be the same for every business. So can you go through and identify what computers, what applications, what vendors you interact with, what manufacturers, how do you run your business, what makes you money, what makes your customers happy, and we need to identify those so that we can appropriately protect these services. And we're mostly talking about computers, but I'm an old phone guy. Phones used to be king, but they're not anymore. However, let's not forget about phone services. Many businesses are still relying on phones. So as we identify what's critical and how we're going to recover and adapt if there's an issue, don't forget your phones and how your customers and your vendors and your suppliers are going to talk with you. And we also can't forget about the physical things that may be non-technical. If you have office, if you have inventory in your warehouses or in logistical warehouses around the country and the logistics of running your business. Maybe not as flashy and as top of mind in a lot of security calls, but we can't forget how you deliver what your customers want. This is an extremely important one. Cole, we've already talked about it with Cole with identity. So what is identity? When you log onto a computer, you may have a server in your business. Well, that server is controlling the identity of who's logging onto that computer with the passwords and saying, yep, that's good, or yes, that's bad. But we've also got other identities to worry with and maintain. So we don't identity, think of that as anything that is providing and evaluating access. So we don't want it's always easy to give full administrative access to anything. It's like, great, that works. Here's the full admin. But that is dangerous because full admin needs to be closely guarded, needs to be locked down and used specifically when needed. When we are talking about your users, your software, your websites, third parties that interact in your business. It may be a video doorbell that runs on Wi-Fi. It might be cameras. It could be something that allows the HVAC vendor to remotely access controls in your business. We need to be very cognizant of all the different ways that a bad actor is going to try to get to your business. And managing identity, giving out the minimum is that's needed for a person or an object to work is critical in understanding that and managing it. And let me go to the next slide. Monitoring, this was nicely identified in the slide from Arctic Wolf on that timeline. So monitoring various things that may not even be in your building. So Office 365, your access to Teams, SharePoint, email, OneDrive, that's all driven in the Microsoft cloud. There are things that can go on up there that will never get flagged by something that is in your business. So the wide breadth of data ingestion that Arctic Wolf talked about is needs to be done 24/7 by 365, because we also have to remember many of the bad actors are not sitting in North America and working 8 to 5. They would be ecstatic to compromise something at 10 p.m. on a Friday night and have all weekend to work on it possibly. Well, that's by monitoring, by having our controls in place and monitoring changes and anomalies, that helps keep that timeline reduced between something that is flagged and getting it rectified and stopped. And one last thing on access control, we also don't want to forget about physical access. So, for example, if you have got a server or a storage, a network attached storage, a file share system in your business, you don't want that available for a third party to just walk up and possibly stick in a USB drive. Same with lightly used computers or other devices in your premise. If it's on your network, if it's talking to the internet, you may not want to let just anybody have physical access to interact with that device. So we need to pay special attention to that. You got a few terms earlier in Cole's presentation, but things you might hear when people are talking about security as a service, software as a service, may have a SASE acronym or SaaS acronym. Those are tools that typically are going to have a cloud component and not strictly be resident on some type of device. And these can be excellent tools because if they're leveraging cloud services and security patches and updates that security professionals see, then that's just going to be faster delivery to your premise and ability to watch out for those. Multi-factor authentication, most everybody's probably used to that, but it is evolving and changing. MFA or two-factor via text message is not good anymore. It is compromised, and we need to move multi-factor authentication beyond text messaging. And even just a pop-up on a mobile app, he described exactly in the example that it wore a person out, and they finally said, yes, well, we can move on to things that two-factor that may be more biometric. So the fingerprint on laptops and computers, or adding a fingerprint scanner to a desktop. Web cameras have evolved to where they can be used to facial recognition as a two-factor authentication. So multi-factor authentication is evolving, and you need to work with your partner, which we hope is us, to stay up to date on that and keep moving. Zero trust is well-defined, ZTA. Basically, just because your device may be in your building and you've successfully logged into a server, that doesn't mean that we want to absolutely trust anything in the premise. So we need to think of, we trust nothing, and put back to identity, we're going to get minimum necessary permissions and access for a person, a device, a software to perform its task. Detection and response, so EDR, XDR. So when you see these, if you see these acronyms out there, it's just referring to that the industry and cyber insurance providers and maybe even vendors you might interact with in the future, they want to know that you're serious about it. Well, they're going to want to know, are your tools more proactive? Gone are the days when there's a pop-up, we think something looks bad. Well, we want these tools to be able to do more, to manage the detection and then implement and start a response to get something isolated and stopped if it's ongoing. And finally, this isn't an acronym. This is kind of a fact. Office 365 Business Premium is a fantastic tool. If you're an office, if your business runs with Microsoft Office, the tools that are turned on for the business and your security partners to use with premium, or if you're a bigger customer and you're maybe getting the E3, E5 license, the extra conditional access and tools that get turned on the business premium are very, very good. They're not, none of these are meant to be the one-stop shop. So just turning that on doesn't mean everything is good, but it's extra tools to work in with the layering that we discussed, that we want to layer, and have more checkpoints and more data to be analyzed, so that we can stop things before they get going too far. Humans are a key part of the cybersecurity journey. Humans can be the weak point, and humans can also be the strong. These the module through Arctic Wolf, we really like it. A couple of reasons. As Cole touched on, the educational videos that come out are not oppressive. It's not going to take your folks 15 to 20 minutes to wade through that. They're focused, they're bite-sized, and they're really about trying to get people to recognize, why maybe it's an internal email. Why is the CEO sending me an email about that he needs a check? Or there are commonalities that can help end users recognize this is just not right. The other part that is fantastic about the security awareness module is it runs the whole Arctic Wolf Concierge Security Team SOC. That program runs on its own. We can adjust it and we can have input on it, but nobody in your business is going to be tasked with, okay, you need to decide what type of emails are going out this week, or what type of educational videos are going to go out this week. The program is run by people dedicated to creating it. So we are big fans of that security awareness program. And if you haven't already been asked through some checkbox on some kind of form or through a vendor, you will want to be able to say, yes, we are doing education for our staff and employees on security awareness. And this is kind of my favorite. It doesn't get a lot of, it doesn't seem to get a lot of talking about during, getting a lot of airtime during webinars and things. Backups are critical to your recovery. And backups, disaster recovery, and continuity plan, they're also important. Even if something happens that's not a cybersecurity event, you can have physical problems of building, storms, that can cause problems. Electrical, we I don't know, we just put in a brand new network for some folks in less than 30 days. The storms that came through, there was a surge that took out some equipment. So regular backups are critical to your business. And we like to look at it from a two-pronged approach. Local on-site backups, so those are fast. We use storage devices that have got a lot of storage, so we can back up PCs and servers, and that is on-site backup for a quick response. Additionally, we like the cloud backup. So now we also have got an air-gapped or an off-site backup that is not subject to natural disasters or cyber events. So these cloud backups can then be utilized if there's a major happening that really disrupts your business, and we need to get those systems, get it redone for what your staffing is going to need. And we don't want to forget about email, OneDrive, SharePoint, other file share services. Yes, those services absolutely replicate through the data centers, through the provider, but that doesn't mean they are backing it up in a format that you have access to. So not saying that we don't want to use and take advantage of their replications, but we can provide your business backups of these cloud services that you'll have access to if needed. And the disaster and continuity plan, this is a lot. This isn't really a buy this widget, buy this tool. This is talking amongst yourself and with the technology partner of and game role playing it out. What happens if you can't get to the office? What happens if power's you're told power is going to be out for 2 days? What if the internet is badly damaged and not going to be available for a couple days? So your disaster recovery and continuity plan is not just about my servers were compromised. Let's talk about all the other ways that could disrupt how you're going to be able to help your customers, how they're going to be able to contact you, and how you're going to be able to deliver what your customers want. So this is not something to think about after the fact. And it just doesn't have to be a 3-month engagement with some special consultant. You just talk about, oh, what happens if this goes away, and how are we gonna resolve that? And review these plans. And it's not just the NIST is particularly talking about review and update your disaster recovery and other plans, but review this often. And it doesn't have to be a full review, but you've got to know who is responsible within your business to be a single point of contact. And you definitely want to have your technology provider as part of this responsible personnel, so that we can interact and we're all on the same page on what it takes to get you back going if there is something that is happening. Everything that we've talked about up till now through Cole's presentation and this checklist will pay dividends when it comes time to fill out a checklist. And whether that is for your insurance carrier saying it's time, you need cyber insurance, here's what you need to tell us, or you may well be asked by a third party. If you're going to do business with somebody, they may say, well, are you secure? Show us, can you answer these questions for us? So this whole process, while it may seem a bit annoying and tedious, it will pay dividends when over time you will have need for it. And then another very important review. So for example, Arctic Wolf, we get, as the partner, we get reports every week, and we can share those with the end user. So these are reports that show you exactly what Arctic Wolf is seeing from your business and your tools. And when we look through those reports, we can see if there's a particular account that is being targeted and hacked on to try and be compromised. Well, then, so we see that we can make adjustments. So reviewing not just the disaster recovery, but reviewing the reports that come out of the security tools is a very good idea. We like to do it because then we're able to proactively make adjustments on what the tools are set for. And final part of mine has to do with Windows 10 end of service. So we're 6 months into the year now. This October 14th date. Haven't seen any changes on that, so I think it's good to go. I don't think Microsoft is going to change their mind at this point. So if you've got Windows 10 computers still in your business, you can download the Microsoft PC Health tool. It can run and determine, is that device capable of supporting Windows 11? And if it is, you can look at an in-place upgrade, and that is Microsoft does not charge for that Windows 11 license for that in-place upgrade. Couple of things that we have seen: if your PC is barely meeting the minimum requirements, it may give you the green checks. But if you're at the bare minimum, and if it's an older machine, you may not like how it operates in Windows 11. Windows 11. It's new and it was built around the newer technologies that the PC vendors are putting in. So just because you meet the minimum, you may not like the result. And the in-place upgrades, we have seen them; they are not quick. We have not, I would say, 2 to 4 hours at a minimum for the upgrade. So If you're going to do the in-place upgrades, I would recommend that plan it out, because it's not going to happen during a coffee break. Again, 2 to 4 hours is what we have seen. And we may find programs that then need adjustments and to work with Windows 11. But and then if your equipment is not going to be able to tote the news with Windows 11, then we are absolutely ready, and we look forward to helping you get new equipment, and then getting data from the older machines migrated to the new computers, so that your end users can operate and do what they do for your business and to help your customers. So don't. We're not currently seeing any massive delays in being able to get replacement equipment, but I would not recommend waiting until the end of September to decide what you're going to do there with Windows 10 end of service. So I think that's the end of what I had. Let's see if I can turn this down to just show that. And have we had any questions come in that we need to help for any answer for anybody? Or all right.
I guess that means that you two did a great job.
Well, or we've scared people or bored them to death. I don't know which.
Well, I would like to thank, if nobody has any questions, I would like to thank those that have joined today. I do anticipate that we're going to be doing a series of events every quarter with managed services partners. We will definitely let you folks know when that happens. They might not all be on cybersecurity, but please, if you've got any questions, you want to email us, maybe you're bashful and you don't want to say anything right now, email your rep, or email, you've got somebody's email, or you can call our office. We would love to talk to you.
That's a key
Scott,
point,
you got anything
Todd.
else? Pardon
Well,
me?
I just want a key point, not related to cybersecurity. We do answer our phones. I know a lot of our customers, as they come on board, they've had problems communicating with their managed services, their technology provider. I absolutely know it is very hard for us to answer the phone before Sarah. If you call our office, we answer the phones, and we do reply to customer requests. So we think that is a definite advantage of working with managed services partners.
That's a good point, Scott. We just about everybody that comes to us as a new client has issues with their existing vendor that they're paying monthly, that they can't get on the phone. They never return their phone calls, but they're paying them every month. When Scott and I went down this rabbit hole years and years ago, I said, we're going to provide the best service, customer focused, best products, or we don't want to do it. So, not to toot our own horn, I guess, but we've done it so far. And Cole, thank you very much as well.
Yes, thank you for having me.
You do an awfully good job at this. So
thank you. I'm glad to do it. And yeah, if there's another cybersecurity focused one in the future, I would love to join. Yeah, like they said, if there's questions, reach out to them. They'll answer the phone. We will too, but reach out to them and we can set up other time or answer questions after the fact.
We will certainly do that. Thank you, Cole, and thank you very much, everybody.